The Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development raised its outlook for world growth today, but also says there are warning signs: European sovereign debt and the potential for overheating economies in Asia. Angel Gurria is the former finance minister and foreign minister of Mexico and is Secretary General of the OECD. Angel, thank you for joining us this morning. Let's talk about European sovereign debt. The OECD report this morning kind of soft pedals the issue, while it does draw some attention to what we've seen take place there. In your best estimation, how much of a concern is what's going on in Europe, what we've seen lately with Spanish banks, for example, the threats to Eurozone stability, for the growth in the region, and more importantly, the world economy?
It's a serious challenge, but countries are responding. Germany already said that they would go to a balanced budget in 2016, and they put that in their constitution. It's mandatory at the constitutional level. Mr. Sarkozy said that in France they would consider putting that in the constitution and that they would address the question of the deficit immediately. The Spanish have taken enormously courageous decisions, and I think that they're going to be approved tomorrow in the Parliament. They're going to bring down the budget, the budget deficit very fast. The Portuguese have done that. Of course, the Greeks started this process. But then we saw Mr. Cameron and his economic team, Mr. Osborne, and then the latest were the Italians only last night that announced a very important measures in order to balance their budgets or move towards balanced budgets or lower deficits. So it's happening. I think this concern was a legitimate concern. Now the question is a modicum of organization, of cooperation, of coordination, so that these can be finally balanced with the need to support the recovery or not affect the recovery.
Mr. Secretary, these countries obviously do have the ability to cut spending, or at least to attempt to cut spending on their own. That is something within their control. But the things outside their control include the financial markets, for example, and what the rating agencies do. How concerned are you that financial markets are going to vote with their feet and continue to put pressure on these countries over which they don't have any control, and meantime the rating agencies may continue to downgrade some of these debts, again putting pressure through the financial markets on these governments?
It's the other way around. Well, markets will react to the measures and the policies that are announced. They will add and subtract, and then they will make their own conclusions, and it is only then that they will decide whether this is a credible path and, as you say, vote with their money. Now, the rating agencies, unfortunately, have been really compounding the problems. They've been acting in a completely pro-cyclical way. But I'm talking about the markets in general. I think they're reacting positively to the fact that there's greater awareness of the issue of the fiscal problems, of the budgetary problems. Now the question is about governance, it's about coordination, and about the capacity to take decisions in a way that will not be a beggar thy neighbor issue. Remember,
Mr. Secretary, I'm afraid that's all the time we have. Angel Gurria of the OECD.